Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mangoes, Not Lemons. This is a very special episode. All you HR people out there, all you recruiters out there, anyone that deals with the candidate experience, this is a special video for you. So today, we have a guest speaker, a very good friend of mine. His name is Jeff Jones, and he's going to tell us all about his recent, whether he likes it or not, candidate experience. He's been applying to companies over the last 6 weeks and has some experiences to share with all of you. So, Jeff, welcome.
Thank you.
Give us a quick intro into yourself.
Sure. So I have been in sales pretty much most of my life. I got into tech sales about 8 years ago, and then the end of January, I was laid off from the company that I worked at.
Okay. Sorry to hear about that.
The application experience and trying to find a new position this time has been tougher than it's ever been before for me when I've had to change careers.
So let's dig into that. So in the past 6 weeks, 8 weeks, how long have you been looking?
Since the end of January.
Okay, so a couple of months at least.
Yep.
How many total companies in your field have you applied to?
I've applied for over 200 positions.
Okay, and you're not alone. I've talked to a lot of applicants that are in that realm of jobs, but you're actively applying every day, correct?
Yeah, every day. I'm pretty much interviewing every week. I have interviews.
Oh, that's unusual. You've actually had a lot of companies pulled you in and had an interview process at some level.
Yeah, some of these are multiple interviews with companies, but I've had 47 interviews since the end of January.
Okay, so help me understand. So let's start at the very beginning. When you apply, you've done a lot of applications. Have you seen good applications, long applications, short applications? What have your experiences been with applying with different companies?
So, some of the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn have the easy apply button.
Yep.
And
where it pulls in your profile.
Yeah, where it pulls in your profile and it's a shorter. You have to fill in less fields to apply. And I've done a lot of those, and I don't know that I've actually got any interviews from any of those.
Oh, that's interesting.
Part of me wonders if because it's so easy, like they just get tons and tons of applications, but I haven't got a lot of responses to those.
Okay, interesting data point, everybody.
So because of that, most recently, sometimes even if there's an easy apply option on LinkedIn, I'll Google the company's website and try and figure out if I can just apply directly through their website.
Oh, because you might get a little more attention. It gives more information.
I feel like you can add more context. Yeah, there's usually a space where it says cover letter where I can at least, type in a little bit about my experience and how I might be a fit.
So a quicker application doesn't necessarily, in your opinion, it's not giving a better result. It's not making your life, you're not getting pulled in for interviews.
I don't think so. And most of the applications are pretty easy. They'll pull in the information from your resume. Some of them do a bad job of it though, and then you have to edit it. You have to spend a lot of time editing it, and so
they have what's called AutoParsing tools.
Yeah.
A lot of software out there they'll grab the data from your resume to the best of its AI ability and stick it in the application for you. But you're right, it's not always correct.
And so I know the ones that use Workday, they never pull my resume in right, and so I have to go through my job history and fix a lot of stuff.
Okay, interesting. Okay. All right, so have you had any long applications that you didn't like, or long that were like over 30 minutes to apply?
I don't think I've ever had one that's taken that long. I probably had them that have taken 15 or 20 minutes just because it didn't pull in my resume information correctly, and then there were also a lot of extra questions just about your experience and background and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's talk, interesting, that's some really good feedback. So now let's talk first touch with the recruiter, with an HR person. Are they coming text, email? Are they coming phone calls? What is your first touch experience?
So most of the first touches have been through LinkedIn messages.
Okay.
And sometimes those are internal recruiters and sometimes those are third-party recruiters.
Okay.
I have had a couple recruiters that have just reached out to me via email. I've had one recruiter that just called me out of the blue about an opportunity. I feel like a lot of the third-party recruiters don't follow through. I get a message that says, hey, I've got this exciting opportunity. Here's the details about it. And I'm like, great, yeah, I'm interested. And then they just don't reply to me.
Oh, that means they probably don't actually have the job yet. And they're trying to market you to get the job.
Either that or I think they are just automatically sending these messages to LinkedIn and then there's there's like no real research if I'm a good candidate for that job.
So a lot of those have left you hanging with
A
no
lot of them
response.
left me hanging. And then I've had others that reached out and, I replied and I was like, this says it needs sled experience, for example. And I'm like, I haven't been on a dedicated sled team before. And they're like, oh, you're right. You're probably not a good fit. It was like, why did you waste my time and reach out to me
Well,
then?
but at least they gave you that feedback, even though
That
they
is
didn't
true.
notice initially.
And in other cases, there've been a lot of times where there's been no feedback.
So very rarely are they calling you.
Very rarely for an initial reach out, yeah.
Okay, so you do the initial reach out, they message you. So how many text messages? Any direct text?
I haven't got any texts without.
Really? Because
Nope.
so my team on the HR Mango side, we try to phone call, text, and email anytime we have a candidate for that very reason, because you don't know what platform they're going to be looking for and what's the best way to catch them. So that's interesting feedback. I would have expected nowadays more recruiters to text you to a response to your feedback.
I mean, even as a salesperson, like if I have a number I can text, I will text it.
Right.
Because
I'm the same.
people don't pick up phone numbers that they don't recognize a lot of times. And email inboxes are so full of emails, people miss stuff.
Yes. Okay, so you've gotten through the initial message. You get to is it a phone call pre-screen that's next? What are you experiencing?
Almost always it's a phone call pre-screen.
Recruiter, HR generalist?
Recruiter, HR person. The internal recruiters are a lot more polished on. These are the steps. This is what I'm going to get back to you.
Yeah.
A lot of times the third-party recruiters, and maybe some of this is, maybe they don't exactly have a contract for the job or they can't control it, but a lot of the third-party recruiters, it's like, hey, I'll get back to you. I'll move you forward and talk to the hiring manager. And then a lot of times it's me following up and then they're like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to him yet or this or that. And so I have had a lot of third-party recruiters that have reached out to me, and I've only had 2 that have actually got me interviews with the company.
Okay, interesting. All right. I know the market's a little weird right now, so that might explain some of that too. So once you get to the phone pre-screen, you're getting to the phone pre-screen. It sounds like you've had HR person, recruiting person. What happens after that? What's getting you to the interview?
Usually it's after that is an interview with the hiring manager.
Have many of them left you hanging? Have they also not gotten back to you after the pre-screen phone call?
A lot, especially the third-party recruiters. I've had a couple that have been really good at being responsive and giving me updates, and even if it's a no, I would like to know that I can move on from that opportunity. Correct. So having an answer is better than no answer. So there's been a couple that have been very good at giving me feedback, but most of them, they just disappear on me.
Okay. And so you've got that with third party, but you've also had that with internal
I've had that
staff.
with internal recruiters too.
Okay, so now you've gotten the interview, you're in for an interview 1. Are the recruiting and HR staff are they saying, this is how the interview process is going to work? It should take a couple weeks. It's going to be 1 interview, 2 interviews, 3 interviews. Are they telling you as the candidate what to expect?
Very few are giving me that information up front. I always ask for that information, and most people will lay that out for me. I'm surprised how many people still don't have an answer for that. They're like, we're still fine-tuning our hiring process. So, it could look like this.
Not a great experience.
Or it could look like this, yeah. So not a lot of people have it defined.
So you get to an interview. Are you finding more video first interviews, more in-person first interviews? What's your experience been there?
Almost all of the first interviews have been via Zoom.
Okay, so all video.
I've had one company that actually brought me in for an in-person interview for the first interview, but all the others have been initially a Zoom or Teams or, an online interview.
So more and more companies are going that route. So that's pretty norm. Mm-hmm. Good experiences, fine. Bad experiences?
Mostly good. I think the one thing about online meetings is people get distracted more. And so
multitasking?
Yeah.
On the interview?
Yeah. So majority have been really good.
Don't multitask on your interview. The candidate is the important part.
Yeah, or show up late.
Or don't show up at all.
Yeah.
And have to reschedule.
That's happened too.
Yeah.
Most of them have been really good. There's only been a couple where the person either was very distracted or didn't even seem interested. Like I was one recruiter that was an internal recruiter for a company. I just felt like she wasn't even really interested in me. I had more questions about the position than she had for me, and I was really shocked at how disinterested she seemed.
Right. So people forget And for all you HR and recruiters out there, people forget with a candidate, it's my job as the representative for the company to sell you on why you should want to work for us, why the job is going to be good, why the career is going to be good. Obviously you want to talk compensation and benefits, but ultimately you want to know if there's a personality match in the job itself.
Sure.
And so it's interesting with you being a sales background, how you see these companies aren't selling you their company. They're not selling you the job and the career. And to me, they're missing out on a huge opportunity when they don't.
Yeah, and I think there's some that sell really hard up front, and then it just kind of like they just disappear.
Well, I've been in a lot of situations where my recruiting team will sell the job, sell the company, sell the career, all the good things, and then they get to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager doesn't sell the company and doesn't sell their team and doesn't sell themselves as their boss, and it's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you get to the interview. How many companies have had more than one interview before they'll even make a call or get close to a decision?
I've only met with one company that only had one interview in the process.
Okay.
Other than a screening interview. So
what's the most you've done with any one company?
6.
6 interviews with one company.
One company, and I've had more than one company that the interview process took over a month.
Oh, see, so let me ask you an opinion. I'm not going to express my opinion on that yet. What are your thoughts? As a candidate, is that a good experience for you?
No, not at all.
Right?
Because I'm a salesperson, like I have a spreadsheet that keeps track of all the people that I've had an initial screening call with.
Right?
And so I'm managing all these other applications and spending a lot of time on continuing to apply for other jobs when this could be a job I'm really interested in, but because the process is going so slow and there's no real answer on when I'm going to get an answer, I have to keep putting effort into finding a job somewhere else.
So this company that you had 6 interviews for, what's the likelihood? I'm assuming you didn't get the job?
Nope.
Okay, so 6 interviews. You meet all these people in the organization. It takes over a month. And did they leave you hanging or did they give you an answer?
This company was actually very good. They gave me an answer. They gave me some feedback.
Okay.
They actually said that they would keep me in their applicant pipeline, and when another role opens up, that I could be considered for that.
But what are your odds that you would apply again with them to go through that same process?
So
would it make you think twice?
A little bit. Like I think that my hope would be that I wouldn't have to go through such all 6 steps again, that because I've already done that it would be a more streamlined process the second time around.
Okay.
But I definitely wouldn't that would be one of my first questions is what's the timeline? Because I wouldn't want to go through a month-long process again.
Okay. And so to kind of wrap it up a little bit, ultimately, you have a variety of companies you've applied to. You have a wide variety of companies you've experienced direct contact with, whether it be pre-screen, whether it be a video interview, whether it be in-person interviews. And ultimately, to kind of sum it up, some have been good, but most have not been great.
The good ones have been, the exception. And in previous times where I've been unemployed and looking for a job, the first thing you do is you go to your network, right? And you go to people that are at companies that you might be a good fit for. And if they have a position, you ask them to put in a referral for you. And I feel like, a few years ago, if you put in a referral, you pretty much were at least guaranteed that initial screening interview. And there's been...
To talk to a real person.
Yeah, to talk to a real person. And there's been a number of positions that I've had someone refer me and then 48 hours later get the auto decline email of thanks for applying, but no thanks.
Okay, so to wrap things up, so ultimately some takeaways for all of you out there in the market, all of you HR people, all of you recruiting people, you really need to put a high emphasis on candidate experience in your process, whether you're urging those hiring managers, whether you're urging a cleaner, shorter process. Ultimately, always remember the candidate experience carries weight. Carries weight in the market, carries weight with your team, carries weight with whether they'll ever apply to your company again. So make sure, simplify your recruiting process, simplify and define your interview process, and give candidates an expectation as to when you're looking to fill the position. So hopefully these were some good pointers. Jeff, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And y'all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.